Hey everyone! Today we're diving into the nitty-gritty of tiny house living. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tiny houses are adorable, minimalist, and oh so trendy. And while they can be all those things, there's a whole other side to it that doesn't always make it onto your Instagram feed. We're talking about the realities, the trade-offs, and the honest truths about what it's really like to live tiny. Because, let's be real, it's not always glamorous. So, if you're considering joining the tiny house movement, or even just curious about what it entails, buckle up. We're about to uncover the things they don't always tell you about tiny house living. You know all those clever storage solutions you see on those tiny house tours? Yeah, they're definitely creative. But trust me, no matter how many fold-out tables or hidden compartments you have, there will always be that one awkward item that just doesn't fit. Maybe it's your winter coats, your collection of vintage board games, or that bread maker you swore you'd use every day. The point is, you have to be incredibly selective about what you bring into a tiny house. And even then, you might find yourself constantly reorganizing and purging just to make everything fit. It's a constant game of Tetris, my friends, and sometimes you just can't win. So, if you're someone who's emotionally attached to their belongings, tiny house living might not be the best fit. But hey, if you're up for the challenge of downsizing and embracing a more minimalist lifestyle, then maybe, just maybe, you can conquer the storage struggle. Okay, imagine this. You're making dinner, but your kitchen counter is also your desk. And oh yeah, that bed you slept in? It needs to be folded up and tucked away before you can actually use the living room. Welcome to the world of multifunctional spaces in a tiny house. You're constantly shifting and rearranging furniture just to do basic everyday tasks. It's like living in a giant puzzle box where every piece has multiple uses. Don't get me wrong, it can be fun at first, kind of like having a constantly evolving home. But after a while, the novelty wears off, and you just want to cook dinner without having to move your entire living room around. So yeah, be prepared to embrace the art of flexibility and adaptability if you're going tiny. All right, let's talk furniture. Specifically, the magical world of multifunctional furniture that's practically a requirement for tiny house living. We're talking beds that fold into walls, tables that transform into desks, and chairs that magically morph into storage units. It's like living in a real-life Transformer movie, except without the cool special effects. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some seriously ingenious furniture designs out there that can maximize your space. But be prepared to sacrifice some comfort and functionality. That super comfy sectional sofa you've been eyeing? Yeah, not gonna happen. And forget about having a dedicated guest room, unless you're cool with your friends sleeping in a Murphy bed that doubles as your dining table. It's all about compromise, my friends, and finding furniture that can adapt to your ever-changing needs. You'll minimize even more. You know how you decluttered your entire life before moving into your tiny house? Well, get ready for round 2, because the minimizing never really ends. Even after you've gotten rid of everything you thought you could live without, you'll inevitably find yourself letting go of even more stuff. It's a gradual process, but trust me, it happens. Maybe you realize you haven't used that waffle iron in months, or maybe you finally accept that you're never going to wear that sparkly dress again. Whatever it is, be prepared to constantly evaluate your belongings and ask yourself, do I really need this? Because in a tiny house, every square inch counts. And sometimes you have to make tough choices about what stays and what goes. Noise is amplified. Remember those thin walls your apartment had? Yeah, multiply that by 10, and you'll get a sense of the noise level in a tiny house. Sound travels, my friends, and in a small space, it travels fast. Whether it's the pitter-patter of rain on the roof, the creaking of the house settling, or your neighbor's dog barking at 3 a.m., you're going to hear it all. And don't even get me started on trying to have a private conversation. Let's just say, if you value your privacy, Invest in some noise-canceling headphones or get used to whispering. But hey, on the bright side, you'll always be the first to know if there's a storm rolling in. Silver linings, right? Cleaning is both quick and constant. Okay, let's talk about cleaning. The good news is, cleaning a tiny house is a breeze. I mean, how long can it really take to vacuum a 300 square foot space? But here's the catch. It gets dirty just as quickly. Think about it. You're cooking, sleeping, working, and living in one tiny space. Crumbs happen, dust bunnies appear out of thin air, and clutter accumulates faster than you can say minimalist lifestyle. So yeah, be prepared to clean more often than you're probably used to. But hey, at least it's a quick chore, right? Climate control is tricky. Have you ever tried heating or cooling a cardboard box? No? Well, it's kind of like that. Tiny houses, with their limited insulation and small square footage, can be notoriously difficult to regulate temperature-wise. In the summer, they can turn into saunas, and in the winter, they can feel like ice boxes. You'll become very familiar with space heaters, fans, and strategically placed windows for cross-ventilation. And if you're off-grid, well, get ready to embrace the elements because you're going to be feeling them a lot more closely. So yeah, be prepared to get cozy with your thermostat and invest in some good quality thermal curtains. Privacy becomes a luxury. Remember those days when you could have friends over and actually have a private conversation without everyone else in the house eavesdropping? Yeah, those days are gone. In a tiny house, privacy is a luxury, not a guarantee. Sound travels, remember? So, if you have guests over, be prepared to share your space, your conversations, and maybe even your toothbrush. Just kidding, hopefully. But in all seriousness, living tiny often means redefining your boundaries and getting comfortable with a more communal living situation. It's all about embracing the coziness, right? You'll become an organization wizard. Remember those Marie Kondo organization videos you used to watch? Well, get ready to put those skills to the test because in a tiny house, organization is not just a suggestion, it's a way of life. Every item needs a designated spot, and every inch of space needs to be maximized. You'll become a master of vertical storage, multi-purpose containers, and the art of folding clothes so small they could fit in a thimble. Trust me, you'll be amazed at how much you can fit into a small space when you put your mind to it. But be warned, one wrong move, one misplaced item, and the whole system can come crashing down. So, channel your inner organization guru and get ready to tidy up. Remember those glorious days of strolling through Costco, loading up your cart with enough toilet paper to last a lifetime, and feeling a sense of accomplishment? Yeah, those days are over. In a tiny house, bulk buying is basically a myth. There's simply no room to store a year's supply of paper towels or a gallon of mayonnaise that could feed a small army. Get ready to embrace the art of shopping small and often. Think farmers markets, local grocery stores, and maybe even growing some of your own herbs and veggies. It's all about adapting to a more sustainable and mindful approach to consumption. So, you want to have friends over for dinner, but your dining table also doubles as your bed, and your living room is the size of a walk-in closet. Welcome to the joys of socializing in a tiny house. It's not always easy, but it's definitely doable with a little creativity and flexibility. Get ready to embrace outdoor entertaining, potlucks, and maybe even a good old-fashioned picnic in the park. The key is to focus on quality time with loved ones, regardless of the size of your space. And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll even inspire your friends to downsize and join the tiny house movement. Remember those days when you could leave the lights on in every room, take hour-long showers, and not think twice about your environmental impact? Yeah, those days are over. In a tiny house, you become acutely aware of your utility usage. Every drop of water, every watt of electricity, and every BTU of heat is precious. You'll find yourself turning off lights, taking shorter showers, and investing in energy-efficient appliances. And if you're off-grid, well, you'll become best friends with your solar panels and rainwater harvesting system. But hey, there's a certain satisfaction that comes with knowing you're living a more sustainable and environmentally conscious lifestyle. So, there you have it. The unglamorous, unfiltered truth about tiny house living. It's not always easy, it's not always pretty, but it's definitely an adventure. If you're considering taking the plunge, go into it with your eyes wide open, a sense of humor, and a whole lot of patience. Because while tiny house living may not be for everyone, for the right person, it can be a life-changing experience that teaches you about minimalism, sustainability, and most importantly, yourself.